Game over. Game
Hello there. I am in your walls. Well, on your monitor. And I'm okay with that. Hi everyone, kind of a different stream today. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Um I've been wanting to do a tier list for like, I don't know, about 6 weeks now or so. And let me turn that music down just a tad bit. There we go. And I think next week is going to be a huge paradigm shift for my stream and for just basically my schedule as well, kind of. And so I decided that today, April 7th, Year of Our Lord 2024, would be a good time to actually do it. And it's going to be a double feature. So you get 2 tier lists for the price of 1. The first one is obviously this thing, which is, gonna rank some of my VTuber friends and acquaintances and new friends as various Final Fantasy classes. And also, we're gonna do, rank a bunch of RPGs I know. It's around 50 of them that I know pretty well, that I've played recently, finished recently, whatever. And rank them standard category. And also, here is our list of classes. I just went with the basic, Final Fantasy 1 classes because I thought that'd be simpler. But I'm really excited about next week though, because I saw some like works in progress of some of the new scenes I'm getting for my Twitch stream. They look wonderful, like fantastic. I'm so excited for it. It's gonna involve a lot of changes to like my branding. It's not even much of a change. It's more of a make more obvious. I'll put it that way. That's a good way to put it. I need to put my mic to monitor. There we go. That's a lot better. And also, this is going to be the last like quote unquote one-off of what I'm doing. So you know, all this time since like I started the schedule, Sundays were generally like okay, I'm not going to play an RPG. I'm just going to play, you know, some other game or do something else. That's going to change starting next week with the introduction of R&R Saturday or Sunday. Sorry, wrong day. R&R Sunday, which stands for Rest and Randomization Sunday, is where basically I play a randomizer. The way it's going to work is that I'm going to have one long form randomizer, which I'll go through every other week. So that would be like, you know, game randomization games that take longer to play, such as like Link to the Past or Final Fantasy V, and then in between I'll play a bunch of like, you know, just random shorter term randomizer games like Final Fantasy II Free Enterprise and anything in like maybe even like non shorter games like roguelikes and stuff like that involve randomization elements. And they're not always going to be RPGs, like I said. It might be, you know, I might play randomized Super Mario World or, you know, whatever. So we'll see. Hi, VV's Angry. Welcome to the chat. So good to see you. Please kick back, relax, and enjoy the stream. So, let me take a sip of tea here. I guess we can start. I went through the business that I wanted to go through. So let's start. Let's go. Oh, hi, Quinn. Welcome to the chat as well. So glad to see y'all here. See y'all smiling faces. Yes, I can see you. Sorry I can't stick around long, but I'll lurk. Lurking is fine. Feel free to lurk. Alright, so let's start. We'll go down the list. But first, actually, if we're going down the list, our first contestant is actually not a VTuber. It's one of my mods, Maya, my only mod. Because, you know, my community is still small enough. I think I can get away with one mod, especially because Maya does a good job of looking at everyone's joining every stream, or mostly every stream, at least for a little bit. So we're gonna rank her Final Fantasy XIV character. Her name is Nyla, and this is her unmodded version. And I know the character of Nyla very well. Kind of like, you know, kind of a warrior of darkness type archetype. Here, I don't think I can pull a bigger picture because I think it's gonna be, but she's this one right here. Let me see if I can pull the picture and show y'all it really quick. Because I think a picture, as they say, a picture speaks more than words, or 1,000 words, or whatever they say. I don't know. I'm not good with phrases. What are you expecting to be good at phrases? Here we go. There we go. Yeah, so here she is looking angry, or angy at Gaia's Vound Balzar. Kind of a nice little, like, you know, almost relatively gothic look. Blue and black hair, you know, blue cat girls. Gotta stick together. So I am going to... You know what? I think this might be a tad controversial. This might be a tad controversial, actually. I think I'm gonna rank her as a thief. And I have a specific reason why. Let me see if I can, yeah, there we go. Let's go back here. I'm gonna rank her as a thief, and the reason why is because knight is not a good like look for her according to like Final Fantasy classes. Like according to that class fantasy, that's more like a paladin aspect. Um, and I don't quite think it's black mage because she's more physical than that. So I'm gonna go with thief. So there you go. The judge has spoken. I am the judge. All right, let's. I know my Final Fantasy classes. Okay, all right, let's go down the list. Okay, next is Rain, long-term friend of the stream. Very much a brat, like her T-shirt says. Very much a bully. I mean, she even calls me Stinky in there. And she should know better. You know, Fox side character. Kind of like nice urban looking clothing. A little scrawny, but you know, that's not bad. That's not bad. All right, let's look at our options, and there she is. So let's see. Red mage, monk, thief, knight. She doesn't fit knight. I actually do think I don't think she would fit any of the magic classes. I get a thief 5 from her. From her. So I'm gonna go with thief. Sorry there. Actually, you know what? Here, let's fix that. Portraits. There we go. That's better. There. It's a little stretch, but it's not bad, you know? It's not bad. Alright. Judge has been spoken. Alright, Dark Third. Another long-term friend in the series. I actually really like their model design. What does that remind me of? That reminds me of something specific. There's like a specific character, especially that robe. It reminds me of something. I also like the bare feet too. And like the little cat ears and the mask. Assuming it is a mask, I'm assuming because the color of the mask is different from the skin tone. So I'm guessing it's a mask. I like the crackness of it on the red coat. Even though the coat is red, I don't think they're a red mage though. I get very strong black mage vibes from them. But whoa, what is that? What does the cloak remind me of? It reminds me of something specific. I can't put my finger on it. That's gonna annoy me. That's gonna annoy me so much. But they're a black mage. Oh, I guess I should tell people, you know, if they want to look at the VOD. Let's see, how long have I been streaming for? Does it say on this interface? No, of course it doesn't. I have to look at OBS. I'll say 14. Roughly 0, 16. There we go. Alright, next is a Singra. There is a wrong choice if you pick it, you're going to cheese prison. I don't know. I kind of want to go to cheese prison. Is it cheese? No, it's worse than that. I don't know what's worse. I think she says it's actually stinky cheese. I do love stinky cheese. Like camembert cheese. Oh, it smells so bad, but it's so good. It's all ooey, and you just like I eat that raw. I know a lot of people bake it, but I just like cut it in slices and just like eat it. Eat the wedges like a little mouse. Yeah, it's mouse friend. Yeah, very cute mouse friend. So the question is, what Final Fantasy class is she? Are they? I'm sorry if I've been misgendering you. Are they? Kind of very like, you know, formal looking. very formal. And I know they're blue. And I kind of get like a monk vibe from them. Like either a monk or a knight. Let me look at the picture again. I could see them standing for like justice and cheese. Yeah, I think I'll go with that. I think they're kind of like like, you know, you see, like, if you play like for any MMO, I guess, that has like, you know, like more like casual clothing, you often see tanks wearing like casual clothing, just holding like a giant sword. I can imagine a Singra holding like a giant sword that's like made of holes like Swiss cheese. I think that'd be cute. I think that'd be cool. So I'm gonna go with knight. And that is, we're at 18. No, 1830. Roughly, I'll say 17. Alright, next is this dapper fellow. This dapper gentleman. I like their hat. Also very formal. Although I don't get night vibes from them. Let me look at their profile. We're gonna do some digging. Amateur VTuber, aspiring voice actor, gentleman. And tilt-proof. Very important. Very nice. Very nice indeed. I like their... That's kind of a cool background for them. I like that. But yeah, very dapper dragon friend. I like the monocle. I used to have a monocle, you know. Instead of, before I had my eye patch, I had a monocle. I don't know, I guess I'm obsessed with like things that cover eyes. Skin's red. Although I get either, and because of that I get like red mage vibes, I also get like white mage vibes as well. Like I could see them like, you know, being like more of a healer type. And I mean in like Final Fantasy 1, you know, white mages do have like attack spells. They have Tia, or also known as Hurt, which was basically turn undead from Dungeons and Dragons. So it basically does a lot of damage to undead enemies. They also get like Holy. Yeah, Dia is such a good spell. If you get like a huge group of undead enemies and you cast like Dia 4, it's such a satisfying feeling. So you know what? I'm gonna go. I get white mage vibes from them. All right. Moving down. Roughly 20. All right. Briel. Newer friend to the stream. They've been interacting with me a lot more on Twitter than mostly, but it's very appreciated. Always showing off like really good art. I like their design. They have an eye patch, just like moi. There's more. First time I saw Briel, I thought their eye patch was a mask. I couldn't tell if it was a mask or an eye patch, but no, it's an eye patch. And that just makes it greater. Yeah, very, very magical, but I actually don't get like magic vibes from them. You know, I don't. I get more... Oh, there's some nice animation. That's really well done animation too. Nice. Yeah. I can see them... They give me I was thinking about this before, actually. They give me really big knight vibes. like I could see them like, you know, kicking ass with a sword, like maybe like a great sword, which aren't in Final Fantasy 1 per se. I think like mechanically everything is like two-handers. But yeah, I'm gonna go with knight. Roughly. Anyone. Time doesn't matter. Time really doesn't matter. Alright, next is Azure. Something magic related. Yeah, because that's basically like what the proportional sprite size, every weapon is huge. Exactly. You're exactly right, Viv. Exactly. Like, especially even like the hammers like are like absolutely massive, especially when you get like Thor's hammer. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about Azure here. I like the Hydrochromia, and it looks like the left eye is Black Sclera, which is a nice touch. I like that. Kind of blue, kind of like a blue cloak or a robe. Little patches on the side. Kind of reminds me of the of like what white mages traditionally wear, like in the Final Fantasy series. Uh, but I don't get white mage vibes with them. I get more like blue mage is not an option, and I guess I'm just saying that because their outfit is blue. Um, but I'm leaning more towards blue, a homunculus mage that wanders the world. They play like Dragon Age. Oh yeah, I always support people that play Monopoly. I love Monopoly. If someone asked me to do a Monopoly collab, I'd be. I mean, I'm not doing collabs at the moment, but I would do that at some point. I kind of get Red Mage vibe from them because, and the reason why is because it all has to do with the eyes. Like everything else, all has to do with the eyes. Uh, you know, you have a blue eye with white sclera, you have a yellow eye with red sclera. Kind of makes me think of like, you know, the like in between like darkness and light, which fits Red Mage perfectly. So I'm gonna go with Red Mage on that. All right. And that's what? Roughly, I don't know, 20. I need to take better check. That's okay. Next is Vive, which I believe you're in the chat. Well, welcome. I like the flower design. I like that. Kind of reminds me of like a mix between like a flower and an insect, which I think is kind of like a cool design. Yeah, that is you. Yeah, welcome to the chat. Glad to see you. Oh, I love that profile. That looks badass. I love that. Okay. You make dumb shorts so you don't eat people? Very good. Very, very good. Alright. Alright, so the question is, what job are you? Flowers are generally, you know, when you think of like, if I think of like a healer, flowers come up, but I don't think that's you because of the yellow and black motif. I remember reading somewhere the like flowers with that kind of like motif tend to be like very tend to not be like so like beneficial for consumption. And in fact, the reason why they are that motif is either because they're trying to attract bees or whatever. I might be making this completely up. You never know. That's the beauty of like speaking from the top of your ass. But that's what comes to mind. I can see you. The dress? I guess you can call it a dress. Actually, kind of reminds me of like some sort of like Far Eastern garb, which makes me think monk. I can also see black mage as well. But I also like the idea of like of a flower kicking ass. I think that's a great image. I'm gonna put you in monk. But you know, they're badass in Final Fantasy 1, so that's something you should be proud of. This is so based. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad you agree. And just in case you want to rewatch, I'll put a timestamp here because why not? I can do it. Alright, let's see if the same as my Final Fantasy main. Willow Grimwood. Very gothic motif here. Horns on the side. Yeah, that's definitely a Final Fantasy 14 character if I ever saw one. Especially with that hairstyle. Probably a Duskwood. Ellison, I would imagine. Yellow and orange eyes. Let's look at their profile. I don't know this person very well. They are a cryptid of the Grimwood. And I think they're like a moth type. That's cool. Oh no, cryptids are cool. I like cryptids. Your favorite cryptid is back? Yeah, okay. You know what? I dig it. I dig it. I dig their look. I get very big Black Mage vibes from them. So I'm gonna go with that, Black Mage. Hey Nova, how's it going? I'm doing well. How are you? Welcome to the chat. We're just I'm pigeonholing VTubers, which is always fun. I'm judging. I'm deciding what Final Fantasy class they are, and that's always fun. Yeah. So glad to hear you're doing good. Yeah, I'm glad I'm doing good as well. Let's see. Roughly. Awesome. Awesome. Ooh, Final Fantasy, looking forward to it. Okay, a little cute fox girl here. Very nice. Let's see, and they also have like a, profile pic. I like the design, very cute, very prim. I like the skirt. That sounds cool. Where do I have to send the vote? Well, I am the judge. Although you're welcome to say your opinion in the chat if you'd like. Yeah, I get white mage vibes from her. Like, completely, utterly. And I'm not just saying that because her top's white. Just kind of the motif makes me think like healer. I think there's like two types of healers in the world, at least from my experience playing MMOs. You either have like the really type, ooh, I'm gonna, save you and heal you and, restore you back to health. And then there's the other type that's like, completely salty, like Dr. House-esque types are like, oh my god, you died again to that mechanic. Well, you don't deserve this race, but I'm doing it for the benefit of the team. Screw you, buddy. I'm not giving you a commendation. Both types are equally valid. But no, definitely white mage vibe. White mage vibe. I can't heal stupid. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. And when I heal, I tend to be the salty type. I don't heal like content I don't really know all that well, which is actually probably a good thing for everyone, but like a lot of times in Maya and Farah and Callie can attest if they're lurking in the stream, they're like, I'll have to say, oh my god, this tank is not using any mitigations. Oh, you had a lineup for the PNG on Twitter, which I totally missed. You and Nova, go ahead. If you go ahead and add your picture to that stream, I will judge it. So if you have like a couple of seconds, go ahead and do that, if you want to, or you can just hang out. This isn't the only tier list I'm doing today. I'm also ranking my my favorite jRPGs later. So you know, uh, hang out, chill out. We'll have a good time. Roughly 29. Rogly works too. Alright, Flora. Friend of the stream. You know, I like the flowers in their hair, and I like their hair color, and I, I'm always a big fan of heterochromary. I'm mispronouncing that. I know I am. I will never. Some words I'll just like mispronounce like every single time. Like I can't say Massachusetts correctly. Actually, I think I did say it correctly then. I usually pronounce it as Massachusetts. Let's see. I get monk vibes from them. Like I can kind of see them like being like an urban type monk, like Tifa is. Or maybe I'm just obsessed with like flower type characters like being monks. That could be a whole thing too. Okay, I'm right then. I'm way too obvious for the class, as my model literally wears its outfit. Yeah, that's true. We have one of those in chat, but they went ahead and added them anyway. And I'll be like, you know what? I'm just gonna judge you like everyone else. So yeah, I get for them, I get monk vibes. I get monk vibes. Where are they? Here. This is coming out to be a pretty balanced list, honestly. I totally did not like mean for that to happen, but hey, the heart wants what the heart, the heart wants what it wants it, Roughly. Yeah. Cool. All right. Next, okay. Next is Delia. Cute fox girl, another friend of the stream. Yeah, I think the expectation is either red mage or knight. I'm heavily leaning towards the knight. Although this would make a great like red mage outfit. It's like I think because of the sword, and just kind of like the glamour aspect of it, I guess. Um, I totally get knight vibes, and I know that she's like a pirate fox captain. Uh, and they really can't. Traditionally, they're not like knight folk, but I still get knight vibes from her. So I'm gonna go with knight. Also, big time friend of the stream, as well. Really nice person. Really cute character too. Actually, I think this is my first time like actually like looking in depth at their character. Very cute. Yeah, Baku. Yeah, there you go, Nova. Like literal job armor. I like Baku a lot. I love Barrowman. Barrowman is awesome. Any variation of Barrowman is great. But yeah, that complete red mage, rapier, the hat. I think I would, I think I would be arrested if I said anything other than red mage. And yes, the monk plants. I gotta love the monk plant trope. Yeah, definitely red mage. What'd you know for like Bomberman? Lol, I lost track of time. Hey Delia, I already ranked you. You are a knight. um, but yeah, definitely red mage. I really did not mean for this to be as like balanced as it is, but hey, you know, art wants little hearts. Roughly 36. All right, moving on. Ah, yeah, Mill Hattie. Yeah, I like their design just because this is very unique. Uh, it's like it also. I'm a huge fan of like body horror. Like I love movies like The Fly, The Ring, Videodrome, shit like that. So this model like excites me because of that, or this pinge or whatever. Uh, I also like the sock. The sock reminds me of like I don't know if y'all are into like wrestling at all, but like in the '90s there used to be a wrestler called Mankind, and his gimmick was that he had like a talking sock character named Sako that he would use that had like a mind of its own. It was yeah, Mr. Sako. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I love this character for it. But the question is, what class are they? They're the remnant the guy that randomly knows Flair in the fifth dungeon. Yeah, I love replaying Final Fantasy One is rough because of things like that happen. Like the stupid sorcerers that can just like auto kill you for like hitting you. They like, you know, their physical damage, they only do like 1 HP of damage, but your character just like dies afterwards. And yeah, the one pixel super boss, yeah, exactly. I think because of that, yeah, I'm going Black Mage for them. I'm going Black Mage for them. Just because I can see them like like being that type of encounter or that type of person or that type of party member, because nobody would judge stock for stealing. Thief, yeah, that makes sense too. No one would suspect the sock. Final Fantasy 2 curls. Oh, Final Fantasy 2 curls are bad about that. There's some like bullshit that happens in like the last dungeon of that game when it comes to like just random encounters. Like playing the original version of that game is rough, just because RNG always like seems to bite me, and I get those type of characters. Like I played Final Fantasy Renaissance on this stream um like last year, and if you don't know that game is basically Final Fantasy 1, but it fixes all the bugs and it adds a bunch of new classes. And I had the toughest time in the ice cavern. Like once, like one like 4 hour stream was just trying to get through the ice cavern, just because I kept getting like just just like really bad random encounters. Like I'm talking like, you know, like 8 cockatrices that just got first strike and just like petrified my party. Um, got stun locked a bunch of times. It was awful. That sounds super cool though. Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's fun to chill out. I'm probably gonna play it on stream again once they have a new update. They need to make a proper Final Fantasy 1 of 2 remake. I think that was supposed to be Strangers of Paradise, honestly. Like I love the like don't get me I love the pixel remaster, especially the pixel remaster of Final Fantasy 2 really fixes a lot of stuff. But yeah, I think it would be cool to see like a Final Fantasy 1 remake, like an official one that does like a lot of cool stuff with it. Especially Final Fantasy 2. There's I think the Saga series proved that you can do a lot of interesting things with that leveling style. All right, love me some Final Fantasy. Can't get enough of it. All right, Ray, come on. Okay. Okay. Uh, Definitely getting monk vibes. Also getting thief vibes. I'm leaning more towards monk. Oh yeah, I can't wait for the new Saga game. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Also the new Mana game. Also really excited for that. We're eating well this year for like fans of like classic Square Enix franchises. I like their little like, you know, arm guard bracelet thing. I think that's really cool. I like the design. Um, very nice gentleman. Imprisoned Fox v PNGper in the making. Gotta pay my. Okay, so they're imprisoned. Okay, that kind of leads more into the. They're also they use gifs from Persona 4 anime, so that's pretty cool. Thief or monk? Thief or monk? The aesthetic tells me monk. Yeah, I'm leaning monk too. I'm leaning monk as well. Monk. All right. Monk it is. You have been judged. You can join the flower. You can join the flowers being a monk. Roughly. What is time? Monk gang. Yes. What? All right. Now we got a slime. Gloop, Demon Slime VTuber. There they are in their bedroom. They have a nicer bedroom than I do with their Mountain Dew. You know, you gotta have the dew. Do it up, yeah. Gotta ride the lightning. Gotta ride the Mountain Dew. I'm always a fan of slime characters. I love Dragon Quest just because I think the slime is such an iconic look for a character. But what Final Fantasy class will they be? I mean, if they're a demon slime, it's obviously Black Mage. If I'm being honest. Like, first look, I look at it, it's like, oh, they're a Black Mage. Like, they'll definitely be casting spells. They'll be like the slimes on the moon in Final Fantasy IV that, actually, can kick your ass if you're not, paying attention. Or the ones in Final Fantasy II. It knows Ultima and Destroy City? Yeah. They're gonna Baja Blast you? Exactly, yeah. I'll go with Black Mage. Alright, now it's not looking so even. I like it. Roughly. 43. We'll go with 43. Okay, now we have a video of Kane Ashinder. I wonder if I can get a full body pic. A prince here to eat your heart out. Uses any pronouns. Very interesting. Okay. Looks rather dark to me. For the fans in 10. I've never played 10, so I can't speak to that, unfortunately. Looks rather dark to me. Yeah, I get that dark vibe. Too. Kind of at first, yeah, I know. It's on the list to play. I got sprayed. It's on the list to play. My reasoning is that I didn't get a PS2 until very late in its lifetime. And in college, I wanted to play a Final Fantasy game, and I only had money for one of them, and I chose to play 12 instead of 10. But after I play Final Fantasy 6 again, I'm playing Final Fantasy 10. So it'll be done. It'll be done sometime. Maybe I'll even stream it. How about that? Going through Final Fantasy X blind. That would be a good stream. Alright, but back to the topic. This is hard, because I don't... from the picture, it's night. I can see a dark night. But they're also kind of like, I don't know, they remind me of like a vampire. Which if Final Fantasy 1 there is a vampire like boss, but he doesn't actually do any magic, which actually kind of sucks. I can also see him. I can also see them being a red mage as well. Your mix. Oh no. Oh no. My Nick is robotic. Uh, did that help anything? The fact killed the. Hold on. Hello? Is that any better? We're good now? Okay, cool. I'm gonna put them as red mage. I'm gonna put them as red mage. So there we go. We got done with our first tier list of the day. 3 knights, 3 monks, 2 thieves, 3 red mages, 2 white mages, and 4 black mages. Pretty good party there. If they're at Patty's Party Tavern, I think I would be happy with my choices. I would be happy with my choices. Oh, I should let them know the timestamp. Roughly, I'll say 45. Alright, let's download this. Download image. Let's open that. Let's put that. I have like a folder of like all my streaming stuff. So streaming assets. Tier list. Also, originally this was going to be a, well, you can't actually see it, but this was originally going to be a what candy bar are you tier list, but I changed it to be something more on brand. Alright, rename. VTubers. Alright. Alright, now let's go to the spicy one. I'm going to rank all of these RPGs. Some of you are going to like my choices. Some of you are going to hate them. Because let me tell you, I have opinions. I have spicy opinions, okay? Alright, yeah, so let's start with... I have 2 on here that are not technically jRPGs if you want to do, like, the, Alright, no, don't press the unfollow button! That's the accursed button! I have 2 here that are not they're not technically RPGs, but I'm including them because they either are part of RPG series or they're technically RPG adjacent, but if you want to be technical, they're not actually RPGs. I can go all day on like the specifics, but anyway, the first one is Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon. Everybody! Game is charming as hell. I don't know if y'all have played this, but it is a... Here, I'll pull up the screenshots. Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, everybody. So it's a mystery dungeon game. Like if you've ever played the Pokemon Rescue Team, it's like that. Except you get to play with a Pokemon or a Chocobo, not a Pokemon. Yeah, this is kind of like the gameplay. It's like a random dungeon, and you kind of go around, and it's called Everybody because you have like a little buddy that helps you, like in the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, and the Everybody, at least the one on the Switch, is like an expansion where you have where you... Oh, I didn't want to actually go to the website. Where you have like a bunch of people, like you can do Sid, you can do Alpha from Final Fantasy 14. Just a lot of fun. It's a charming game. It's actually really well designed. It's fun. It's a fun game. It's a frustrating game. Some of the bosses are like huge difficulty spike. Like I had trouble with because the idea of the game is that there's a hub world, and I can't remember the exact plot, but each dungeon you go to is like the main boss is like a Final Fantasy like summon or primal. Like you fight Ifrit, you fight Leviathan. Leviathan just kept kicking my ass, and eventually I had to drop it because I wanted to play other games. It's a good game. I could see it getting repetitive. I think the nice thing about the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, or at least the Rescue Team game I played, is that it's like very nice, short and sweet. I can see Mystery Dungeon being repetitive, so I'm gonna give it a C. I'm giving it a C. It's still, and just letting you know, just because I give a game a C or D does not mean it's a bad game. It just means I like it less than some of these others. Like, all the games on these lists I have played or I have finished. And it doesn't mean that I don't like them. It doesn't mean that I don't like them. Some I like more. There's only a couple games on this list where I'll say, oh yeah, that's a bad game. But, you know, there are no bad, well, I guess there are bad games. I learned about an Amiga game last night that was awful here. I need to show you guys this, So there's a game called, we're going on a little tangent here. There's a game called Top Banana Amiga, or Top Banana. It's an Amiga game about the environment. But the graphics in this game are just, that's an actual level in this damn game. This is an actual level. Look at that. Look at that. The Amiga was wild times, I swear. So yeah. Mystery Dungeon fun game. Alright, 7 minutes. I can talk about Chrono Cross in 7 minutes. Chrono Cross, great game. Some people call it's a sequel to Chrono Trigger, which we're going to talk about next. Some people call it a bad sequel to Chrono Trigger. I don't agree with that. I think it's a great sequel to Chrono Trigger. It is a very different kind of game, though. It's a lot more metaphoric. It is not like a campy, oh yeah, let's save the world, everybody. It's more of a like a philosophical like journey into kind of like the ramifications of everything that happened in Chrono Cross. It's a great game. The battle system is also really good. I love the battle system in Chrono Cross. I wish more games adapted the kind of like style it has, where, you know, you have like, because the way the elements work in Chrono Cross is that you have kind of like a spell grid, and you like work up to your more powerful spells over time depending on like your physical strength. It's a very strategic battle system. I really like Chrono Cross a lot. It is a great game. I beat it once. At some point I'm going to go back and do a New Game Plus. Also, there's like a lot of characters, and yeah, not all the characters are fleshed out, but they're all like very interesting, and some of them have like very unique mechanics to them. There was like a lot of things you can do to kind of like play through it, and a lot of times you're like, one playthrough is not going to be the same just because of like the choices you make in one are going to be different from the other one. There's going to be like, you know, different ramifications to each one. It's like the amount of choice you have is like really, really good. Yeah, they did a remaster like 2 years ago, I think. I think the remaster is actually really good. They made some patches to it that really shaped it up nicely. So yeah, I'm going to give Chrono Cross an A. Chrono Cross is a good A. Now, Chrono Trigger. Popular, famous Super Nintendo RPG. You need at least 3 playthroughs to get all the characters. Yeah, you definitely need at least 2 or 3 playthroughs to get... No, yeah, you need 3 playthroughs to get all the characters. Also, ad warning, about 5 minutes. I can talk about Chrono Trigger in that sense. It's a nice, short and sweet adventure. It doesn't like hold itself way too long. Actually, it really doesn't. For like, you know, the topic doesn't really take itself way too seriously. It kind of has like some Final Fantasy V vibes in there. It has a lot of great. You know, it's a time travel game. You basically save the world by jumping into different like time eras. All the eras are very unique and interesting. Graphics are great. The characters are great. They have all different, like, you know, there's like good class synergies going on. A lot of side quests at the very end that are all like really interesting and really cool. Some probably like some of the best boss fights. in any Super Nintendo RPG. Some of the best music as well. Like the Chrono Trigger OST is top notch, and I still like. I listen to the OST like separate from everything else. Like if I'm trying to get like focused at work, I'll just throw on the OST and just like enjoy it. And as like a lot of my friends know, like Quarters of Time, which is which is like the music that when you get to Zeal Kingdom is like my theme song, basically. So yeah, Chrono Trigger, definitely S tier. It has Viv is right. It has Frog, who is a literal frog, who is a swordsman, a really good character. Also has some like really good top-notch healing skills. I love Frog, one of my favorite characters. I never bring him. I don't think I've ever not brought him to the final battle, honestly, just because his like synergy with both Marley and Chrono are just top notch with their double. Oh yeah, and the battle system. Yeah, you have like double techs and triple techs, and Chrono Cross has some double techs as well. I kind of like how Chrono Cross kind of implements it. It's kind of more like a secret. Like, oh yeah, if you have Guile and Glenn in the same party, they do X slash, and that's a reference to Chrono Trigger, and I like that. That's fun. It's fun to discover those type of things. Okay, we have an ad break in about 2 minutes, and I have to talk about Dragon Quest, and I can't really do that. I can't talk about Dragon Quest in 2 minutes because I think this is where things get kind of start getting a little more spicier. Don't get me wrong, Dragon Quest is a great game, and that's the reason why it's going to be spicy. I bet you can talk about Final Fantasy 3 in 1 minute. Hi, Metal Hattie. Thank you for the chat. Thank you for popping in. Sorry, we're about to go to an ad break in 2 minutes, but I hope you enjoyed your ranking as a black mage. Oh, thank you for the follow, Phoebe, or Metal Hattie. Thank you. The chat. I looked at the chat, and I looked down there, and I got confused because of the chat, but thank you for the follow, Mel Hattie. Very, very much appreciated. I can talk about Final Fantasy 3 in 1 minute. I can. I actually really like Final Fantasy 3 a lot. Although I think kind of like the appeal of it is lost because Final Fantasy 5 exists. It's still a fun game, although the last like quarter of it really makes me angry because it's very frustrating. The Shadow Cave especially is awful because you have to have Dark Knights to get through it. I don't mind that they force me to use like different classes or like play through the game as Mini or stuff like that. I think that's kind of interesting, but yeah, boss design's pretty awful. I do agree with that. It is still probably just from like the original version is probably like my favorite version out of the two. But you know what? I'll throw it up here because you're right. I can't talk about it. I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C. Okay, we have an ad that starts in 20 seconds. Flare wave, flare wave, flare wave. Yeah. Yeah, I like Cloud of Darkness hater fight in the original games. It is just an attritional. It is just a fight of attrition. It's literally, can you bunker up and like cure through everything? All right, we have an ad break in 3 seconds. I'm going to take a quick break and we'll continue. So I'll be right back, y'all. Sorry about the ads. I hope you're getting a good one. I don't know what type of ads they play on my channel. Hopefully, they're not anything too weird. It's funny because I used to run pre-rolls for a while, and I noticed that like my analytics were actually dropping really quickly, and I switched to mid rolls, and they're actually like the numbers are like coming back to where I think that way will be. You got M&Ms and makeup. Well, I'd rather have my viewers see M&M ads. That's kind of on brand, honestly. If M&M's asked me to be a spokeswoman for them, I would not say no. If I'm being honest, they're M&M's. They're great. Okay, Dragon Quest, great game. Has not aged well. Probably one of the few RPGs that are actually completely non-linear. Because honestly, you just need to get 2 items and go to a shrine and have efficient level, and you can finish the game. Really no storyline, nothing like that. It's really just like, here you go. You're out in the world. Go do stuff and hope you don't die. And you will die a lot because it is a very unforgiving game. You go to a place too early and the enemies will just kill you. If you like jRPGs, you should play it at least once to get an appreciation of where the games where jRPGs have really started and where they are now. Because the original Dragon Quest is a very hard experience, is a very grindy experience. There's a lot of grinding in the game. And not the fun kind of grinding, but the kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna go get in the zone. I'm gonna press A over and over again. Oh wait, I have to kind of like be conscious because I'm fighting these Hocus Chimeras, and the Hocus Chimeras can put somebody to sleep, and then it's all dead because you only have one party member in the original Dragon Quest, and that is you. And so if you're put to sleep, hey, you're probably gonna die. Especially against a magician type character because they know really powerful spells. If this was a nostalgia bait, if this was like a nostalgia based on nostalgia, I would give Dragon Quest an S, but it's not based on nostalgia. See, the thing, one of my like 10 posts for this tier ranking is, hey, would I play this game again? And the fact is that yeah, I would play Dragon Quest again. Because it's if you like grinding, because I do like grinding sometimes, it's a fun experience. Hey Rain, thank you for the sub. Or for the resub, much appreciated. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I'll give Dragon Quest a B. I'll give it a B. Dragon Quest 2, on the other hand, can go to hell. Dragon Quest 2 does some interesting things. It's the first Dragon Quest game that has party members. And it's cool because your party members, you don't actually name them. They are automatically named depending on the name of your first member. So every game you play, depending on what you name your first member, you're going to have differently named party members. And you're going to have but it's always the same type of top party members. You're going to have the Princess of Moonbrook, who is like a healer type magician. And then you're going to have the Prince of Canik, who is kind of more like a red mage type. Okay, you want to see the classes, Rain? Here you are. You're a thief. I thought that was very fitting for you. But yeah, Knight, Monk, Thief, Red Mage, White Mage, Black Mage. I know you wanted to be a Dragoon, but I'm not doing Dragoon on this list. Anyway, I know I'm a meanie. I know. You can say that all day long. I know I'm a meanie. Okay. Add it for me. I'm not gonna add it for you. It's only the basic. I was gonna do Dragoon and like Geomancer, but I decided to keep it simple because of the philosophy of keep it simple, stupid. And I am stupid, so I'm keeping it simple. I'm not actually stupid. I'm actually, someone doesn't become a merchant like I am if they don't have any brain. See? I like jumping high. I know, you can jump high as a thief. Yeah, where's my Dark Knight Marie? Ah, no. No. See, that's why I didn't add Dragoon and Geomancer, because people were like, I want Machinist! I want Green Mage! No! We're keeping it simple. Also, I would never steal things. You would steal... You've told me before that you would steal my potions. Anyway, back to Dragon Quest 2. Um, is the nice thing about Dragon Quest 2 is that it takes place in Dragon Quest 1, but the world is huger. You actually revisit the kingdom of Alphagard, which is where you started in Dragon Quest 1, which is really cool. But the game is horribly unbalanced. I'm not leaving until you put me in Feral Youth. Yeah, I mean, that is a class. That is a class. I mean, it. The rumor about Dragon Quest 2 is that the playtesters ran out of time playtesting it, so they didn't get to the very end. You can tell because at the end there's an enemy that casts whack, which automatically kills your entire party. It casts it commonly, and there's like almost no save points at the very end. So you're kind of like a Final Fantasy 3 situation. Between Dragon Quest 2 and Final Fantasy 3, I'm due for a replay of Dragon Quest 2, but honestly, I would rather play Final Fantasy 3. So it gets a D. Yeah, and also the last dungeon is a slog. I don't know if y'all play Dragon Quest 11 S, but there's a Tick-Talkington class that takes place in the last cave. The Cave to Rhodes in Dragon Quest 2 is a horrible dungeon. It is obnoxious. There's a place with pits that just takes you all the way down to the basement, and like every step is like an encounter with horks. And then there's like one of those puzzles where if you don't go the right way, like you go back to the start. It's very obnoxious getting to where you're supposed to go. Dragon Quest 11 though. Speaking of Dragon Quest 11, let's talk about Dragon Quest 11. Hey Faye, thank you for the sub, much appreciated. Glad to see you in chat. Dragon Quest XI is a great game. It is I think that it's definitely one of the better Dragon Quest games in my opinion. It's just a fun game. I like the Switch version a lot because the S version because of the Tick-Talkington quests. Oh yeah, hype train. And thanks for that, Rain. There's a whole like 2D campaign, which is actually really fun. I recommend it if you beat the game at least once. Has some really cool boss fights. Has some weird spikes in difficulty though. But overall, good plot. I like the plot. I even don't mind like the third act, the post game section. Which I'm not going to spoil anything. A lot of people say it ruins the story in like the second act. I don't really think so, because I think that if you play Dragon Quest games, you know that they're fairy tales, and fairy tales have a happy ending. So I'm going to give Dragon Quest 11 an A. I'm giving it an A. Oh, thank you, Maya. Maya gifted tier 1 subs. That did something. Thank you very much. Heck yeah, look at that. Thanks, Maya. Alright, all sorts of fun activities going on up on the top of the chat box. Well, thank you very much. That is much appreciated. Oh, and that beat my my sub goal too. That's awesome. I haven't never really paid much attention to my sub goal. I'm more concerned about my follow goal. But yeah, hype train, all time high, level 1, awesome. I'll give you a secret. I don't really know what the hype train does. I'm glad it's there though. It sounds cool. But thank you very much, Maya, and everyone who subbed, and everyone who does sub, everyone who follows. Y'all are the best. Thank you for supporting me. You know, it means a lot. I'm excited for the next week because I have some really cool things to change and stuff. And so it's gonna be. I hope y'all are like it and are excited as me. Can't stay for long. Prepping for WrestleMania Night 2, watching Crow Sicker Best our JRPG behind Ogre Battle 64. I still need to play Ogre Battle 64 again. That was fun. Have a great stream. Yeah, have fun watching WrestleMania. Farah, you missed my Mankind reference earlier. Um, so Earthbound, play it on stream. You know, y'all probably, if you've watched the streams, you know how much I love Earthbound. Um, Great game, dark in places. It's on the easier side for RPGs. You called Maya out by name, but not in Rain. Surely it was a mistake. Thank you, Rain, for your subbing. I really do appreciate it. Thank you a lot, Rain. Earthbound has great. I think Earthbound's graphics really hold up over time. I think Earthbound to me is like one of those like paintings or one of those songs that have like really bright, happy major chord progression, bright and happy. The lyrics are depressing because there's some depressing stuff going in the background. Earthbound, honestly, and it's kind of the same for Mother 3 as well, which is also on this list. But I love Earthbound. It's one of those games I play like every year. So it definitely gets an S. Earthbound Beginnings, on the other hand, kind of the same situation with Dragon Quest 2. It's, Earthbound Beginnings was the first game. It was on the NES. It was supposed to be released in America, but the Super Nintendo came out and Nintendo put a kibosh on it. Very grindy game. Random encounters happen way too often. Plot doesn't make sense. Graphics don't have the same level of charm, even for a Nintendo game. I mean, you can look at like Final Fantasy 3 for like example of like late in the lifespan NES graphics. Earthbound Beginnings, not so much. Get shrimped. All right, I got shrimped. Don't know what that is. I love shrimp though. Fried shrimp, coconut shrimp. Give it all that shrimp to me. It's also like the last like dungeon, like Dragon Quest 2, is also a complete and total slog. There's a reason I did not play it on stream, because I don't think it would make for like a good stream just because of the amount of grinding involved. And there is a lot of grinding, and there are a lot of frustrating dungeons here. This is a good example. Let's see, Earthbound Beginnings, Duncan Factory map. This goddamn map. This is a dungeon in the game. This is a complete and total dungeon in the game. Yeah. There are a bunch of doors. There are a bunch of ladders. Like, if you take a look at this map, you probably won't know like where you start. You start here. You have to get up there. And now imagine like random encounters happening like every 3 or 4 steps. Yeah, it's a slog. It is quite a slog. So it gets a D. Final Fantasy IV. Another great game. It used to be one of my favorite Final Fantasies. Hey, Hype Train level 2. Hype Train emote. Wonderful. Yeah, Final Fantasy IV used to be one of my favorite RPGs. I think in later playthroughs, I have kind of been a little soured on it. Still a great game though, especially as like an example of kind of like an ensemble game. It also kind of feels like Final Fantasy IV is like a remake of sorts of Final Fantasy II. Just a little bit. In a weird way. Just with crystals and crystals in an Empire. instead of just an Empire. Although, if I was gonna play through like the first like 9 Final Fantasy games, I'd probably actually skip it. I think I've had my enjoyment out of it. Plot kind of there's some fun plot elements, and I don't mind the fact that like the last boss is like revealed in like the final couple of seconds. And it's definitely one of those games where like your experience is going to differ depending on what version you play. I don't like the pixel remaster version all that much, honestly. If I was going to replay again, I'd play the PSP version, the Anniversary Collection. There's not a lot outside of it, outside of the solid story and characters. Yeah, I agree with that. Viv. Hi, Grims. Thank you for the egg. I hope you're having a good day. Yeah. Thank you for the spray. I would put it above Final Fantasy 3, but not by much, honestly. So I'm going to give it a B. Final Fantasy 3 on the DS, I think, and this might be a hot take, I think it's worse than the original Final Fantasy 3. I think the charm of Final Fantasy 3 is being able to, like, you know, name the characters whatever you want and them not having a predefined backstory. And the DS version misses that. The DS version is also harder for like no reason. I don't think the game needed to be harder. I do appreciate some of the changes they added to the job system, but also, but the pixel remaster version of 3 also has it and also keeps like the NES version original. So I'm gonna give it a D. I think it's worse than the original in like every single way. In all honesty, it sounds. From what I've seen, that's been cut out of the game, and you can find this on Bettering Final Fantasy 1 as S. Final Fantasy 1 is a I haven't gotten to Final Fantasy 1. We'll talk about Final Fantasy 1 when we get there. But Final Fantasy 3 DS, you can look at this at the cutting room floor. There's a lot of story beats that were cut out that I think would have made the game more interesting. I think it would have been better if they were going to do the story, if they were going to take it like with defined characters, if they actually did more with them. But they cut all that out, so nah, it stays in D. Final Fantasy V, you know what? I'm playing it right now off stream. Final Fantasy V is still a great game. It's probably my favorite Super Nintendo Final Fantasy just because the fact that the boss design, and I'm assuming you mean the boss design in the DS remake. I agree. The fact that most of the in-game bosses have like take 2 turns in one hit, it's some BS. I'm more angry at the Final Fantasy IV DS. Yeah, I'm getting to Final Fantasy IV DS. I have words about that one. Yeah, Final Fantasy V, great game. Perfect implementation of the job system. I think the only way you can get like a better implementation of a job system if you did something like what Golden Sun or Sword of Mana will do, which is also on this list. Not Golden Sun, but Sword of Mana. It's here somewhere. Yeah, right there. I'm actually on my playthrough of Final Fantasy V. I'm playing through the Pixel Remaster version on Switch. I set it up so that I get accelerated job points. And the reason why is because I wanted to like play more with the job system. So I'm using a bunch of jobs I never used before. And it's great because like I'm figuring out all these like really cool synergies between stuff. It's just a fun game to play around. I love the fact the localization doesn't take itself seriously. It's such a nice refresher compared to some of these other RPGs in the list. So Final Fantasy V, definitely an S tier game. Definitely S tier. If you haven't played it, you need to play it. It's a fun game. I granted in defense note, still killed me for a second before I could even react. Fuck the CPU fight in Final Fantasy IV. Even the version of Final Fantasy IV, honestly. Especially the DS version. Final Fantasy VI. Okay. Final Fantasy VI, really good game. Really deals with some really interesting themes. Just the fact that it shows an on-screen there's a scene that actually makes me shocked it made it into the North American release. And there's some like beautiful set pieces in there. I love, everyone loves the opera scene. Everyone loves like I've always enjoyed the fight with like Kefka like outside Narche on the snowfield. I thought that was a really cool set piece. I kind of hate the fact that there's like part of the games where you had to kind of split between characters. Not too much of a fan on that. I love the Woolsey translation, but that scene gets butchered. Yeah, I agree. It does. Maybe a hot take. I don't think Ted Woolsey is all that bad. I think he's a good translator, especially for the time. And I have issues with some of the stuff he did, but like compared to some other translations, like Lufia, Breath of Fire 2, which is not on the list. Actually, originally Breath of Fire 1 and 2 was on this list, but I cut them out just because there were enough games anyway, and I can't remember a lot of those games. I haven't played them in a while, so I left them out. I need to replay those. I'm hoping to do that sometime this year. But anyway, Final Fantasy VI, also an S tier game. Really good plot. It's also one of my favorite games to replay. Breath of Fire 2 is S rank. Yeah, no, that's what I've heard. I need to replay it. I think the big issues with the translation are Nintendo of America problems and not TED problems. Oh, I agree, Viv. I think it is all because of Nintendo of America's BS. And you got Breath of Fire 1 that Fallout takes back. Please don't. I was on the list, but then I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I don't really remember anything of Breath of Fire 1 or 2. I just remember like Breath of Fire 2, the localization was really bad. And Breath of Fire 1, I have it. I just haven't played it in like years. I don't think I've played it since I was a kid, honestly. I need to fix that. Okay, Final Fantasy Legend 3, also known as Saga 3. Very interesting game. It's kind of like the original Chrono Trigger in a lot of ways, with like a Saga mix. If you've never played a Saga game, the fun part about this is you have customizable party characters, like, but they can be like humans, mutants, or robots, and they all like level in different ways. There's a lot of interesting things you can do. It's literally one of those games where you fight God at the end, especially the first one. It's a fun little romp, honestly. I don't think it's as good as some of the other games on this list, but it's not bad. I mean, it's on the Game Boy, so you're gonna have limitations, but I mean, it's like a full-fledged like RPG adventure on the Game Boy that has like some very familiar mechanics, and it's just it's fun to kind of level up your party and like see where they go. Like there's a type of party member where depending on certain enemies you fight, it takes on traits of that enemy, which is really cool. There's just you can have a lot of fun with it. So I'm gonna put it on a B. I'm gonna put it as B. If you haven't played, I actually recommend it. There's a whole Saga collection they released a while back with all 3 of the Final Fantasy Legend or Saga games. I think any of them are really fun. Legend 1 is on this list. Legend 2 is not, just because I haven't played Legend 2. But I had Legend 3 as a child. I had fun with it. I go back and I play a little bit of it every now and then. I haven't had the attention span lately to finish it completely though. But you do get some like it does some interesting like things with like the time travel aspect of it. There is time travel involved, and it's surprisingly involved for like a Game Boy game. Final Fantasy 2 though. My most latest playthrough of it, I've actually kind of warmed up to it more than I have. I used to say it's my least favorite Final Fantasy game, and I think it still is, but I don't hate it as much as I used to. B or C game is A game. So playing on the Pix, if stepped, yeah, I mean, I knew you would be not you happy with that, Rain. Uh, if I was going to recommend someone, if they were going to play Final Fantasy 2 for the first time, I would say play the Pixel Remaster version and then play the GBA version. I would not have them play the original version. One of the things I wanted to do on this stream was play through the original prototype NES version, because there's a prototype of of the American localization for the original one, but it didn't get released for the same reason that Earthbound Beginnings didn't get released here, because the SNES came out basically, or was coming out. The original is rough. I think the GBA ones and the Pixel Remaster version really smooths it out. Giving that game save states, checkpoints, quick saves actually makes saves actually pretty fun. I agree. It is actually a fun time. It's like I played them when I started, I'm like, I'm gonna play Final Fantasy 2 again, blah 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 blah, and then I'm like, you know what, this is fun, and I eventually complete the entire game. I haven't played the extra material that's in the GBA version. I need to do that at some point. You're late. Yeah, we ranked you. Did 2 have the weapon XP system? Yeah, it did. Also, since you're here, Flora, we have decided that you're a monk. You are definitely a monk. That was my judgment. Yes, Grims. Yes. What would you rank as? Let's see. I do not understand how I'm a monk. Hey, monks are good in Final Fantasy 1. Like, if I was gonna play a solo game of Final Fantasy 1, I would pick a monk character, because monks get very strong at the end. Grims, I would put you as a thief. There is no Dragoon. Dragoon is not a choice. Anyway, Final Fantasy 2. I would say a B. I would say a B for Final Fantasy 2. The thing that really makes me angry about Final Fantasy 2 when I played it, was some of the random encounters are just complete bullshit. Like, first time I played it, I played the GBA version, and I encountered some hill giants in the area around Desht. And oh my god, I hated it. I hated it. Especially get 2 of them, it was just like an instant wipe. You basically have to grind to get it out of dungeon and survive. I'm so glad they nerfed those in the remaster version. I still like 3 a lot, and I think that I would rather play 3 than 2, but I think 2 is just a better game in general. 3 is like me eating I don't know, tortilla chips with my rice. It's nice every once in a while, and I like the texture. But 2 is just like chips with salsa. It's nice. It is nice. Dragon Quest V. We are playing it on stream. I've talked about how much I love this game. It's definitely S tier for me. I love the monster mechanics. I love the fact that the main character isn't like the chosen one. And also a lot of bad crap happens to him. I like the fact that in the DS version you can marry Deborah, who is basically just kind of a complete bitch, and then she's not, and then she gets pregnant and she has babies. It's definitely S tier material for me. It is. I want to play the SNES version sometime. I'm going to do it off stream. If you haven't played it and you like Dragon Quest games, or if you like Super Nintendo RPGs, definitely play it. Definitely play it. It is required playing no matter what version you choose. Just because it does a lot of neat stuff with the genre. Just like the monster catching mechanic, and the fact that you can have a whole staple of monsters and party members and stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun game. Hate the first dungeon though. Hate the first dungeon. All right, Final Fantasy IV DS. It's Final Fantasy IV. It's in 3D. It's a lot harder. Um, it's a lot harder. The fight in the underworld with Golbez when Rydia joins me took me way amount. Oh yeah, and there's voice acting. Yeah, even on the DS version there's voice acting, which is kind of interesting. Which was an interesting choice. It's kind of cool to see the world in 3D. I don't think it holds up as well as 4 does, as the original kind, as the original version. The Steam version of Final Fantasy IV comes with the After Years, which, you know what, I should have put on this list. Actually, you know what, I'm going to put After Years on this list. I have lots to say about that. I have lots to say about the After Years. No, After Years exists, and we're gonna go over it. I can't believe it. Yeah, yeah, we're doing After Years. Okay, but the DS version, quick. If I like Final Fantasy IV, should I play After Years? If you really, really like Final Fantasy IV and you want more of it, play After Years. Otherwise, don't play After Years. If you finish it, you're like, you know what, I'm fine, I'm ready to move on to a different game, don't play After Years. If you want, yes, I want more of this, play After Years. But the DS version, I also don't like the augment system in Final Fantasy IV DS. I I don't like it. Um, I don't like the augment system. I think it takes away a lot from the original game. So I'm going to give it a D. I might give it a C, but I think like 100% of the time, I would rather play the original version. Octopath Traveler. You know what? This is a game I never finished, and a lot of that is not because of the game itself. It's just because I wanted to, just move on to play a different game. It's on my list to replay, hopefully sometime this year. I understand the qualms of like the people regarding the plot and stuff. I just think the characters are just fun, and I like the battle system a lot. It reminds me of like a SMT battle system, but not with like some like Bravely Default mixed in, which is I think that's a lot of fun. Bravely Default is not on this list, any of them, just because I have not played. I have played them. I've played 1 and 2. It's just I haven't played a lot of them. Yeah, I love the dancer character. She's really cool. I like her, kind of like her intro in the cleric as well. And there's a merchant character too, so of course I'm gonna like Octopath Traveler. I'm gonna put it as B. I heard the sequel does a lot of like things better than the original, but I haven't played the sequel. So, but also the graphics are nice. It's probably one of the few times I actually like the HD 2D effect. Oh, thank you, T Bonkers. Thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. I'm not a huge fan of HD 2D. Like everyone wants like a remake of Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger in HD 2D. I don't want that because all HD 2D games look the same to me. They all look like Octopath Traveler. So, I haven't played the Live Alive remake either. But yeah, Octopath Traveler is fun. Persona 3 FES. Oh, thank you, Viv. Thank you. Thank you for the follow as well. Thank you very much. The music in both Octopath Traveler games is fantastic. Yeah, I also really like the music too. It's really well done. Also, the sprites are great too. Like the boss sprites are pretty cool. And the enemy sprites, yeah, it's a fun time. Persona 3 FES. FES was the first version of Persona 3 I played. It's not the definitive version anymore. It is very antiquated, especially if you come from like the later Persona games, like Persona 4 or Persona 5. It is very antiquated, and I would argue it's actually probably hard to play nowadays because of it. The fact that you absolutely cannot control any of your party members, which is not such a big deal breaker for me, but the fact that it also makes them really hard to equip things as well. Um, it's also just kind of more tedious in general because of that. There's the whole meme of Mitsuru like continuing to cast like Mare and Karen, even when it fails the first time. Fun things like that. Um, the reason why I have all three versions of this game here is because they're all very different gameplay wise. Like it's the same game, same plot and everything, except in plot and everything kind of. But like the battle systems all like really like have like all different things and stuff like that. And of course, Portable has the Fem MC route, which I actually like better than the regular one. I like Fem MC a lot, and although I'm sad that she's not in Reload, I understand why. And this was another game I'm thinking about playing on the channel at some point. Probably not anytime soon, but if you want an 80-hour Persona 3 adventure, continue to watch. Yeah, I like the Fem MC, especially her social links. Like, I know they're coming out with a mod for Reload to add her, but it's not the same without the social links. And Persona 3 Reload has the 3G system, which I like. It has a lot of like new like social interactions with your teammates, which I actually really like a lot. A lot of those social little side things are good. Everything's all fully voice acted, which is also really cool. I actually don't mind a lot of the new voices either. It's the definitive version to play the game. I don't think it's my favorite. I think P3P is my favorite. I just want to date the boys. Yeah, that was always fun to do. I would give P3F a B. I would give Reload an A, and I would give P3P an S. Just because if I was gonna play Persona 3 again, I honestly just play the Fem route in P3P. I also like it how P3P is more like Persona 4 in the battle system than Persona 3 Reload is like Persona 5. I really like Persona 4's battle system. I like the fact that party members have their own like little like special attacks, and there's like duo attacks and stuff like that. So that's my ranking there. Final Fantasy VII. Okay. This is the one that's gonna get me canceled. Nah, I jest. Final Fantasy VII is a good game. It's a good game. It is not my favorite PlayStation Final Fantasy, though. And I honestly think that it's actually overrated a little bit. But I don't think that's actually a factor of the game itself. I think that's just kind of like... I get it. This was a lot of people's first, like, Japanese RPG. And that's fantastic, and I get it. The problem is that I think that if I was to play any of the PlayStation RPGs, I would much rather play 8 or 9. I would not play 7. Callie's over here giving me a thumbs up. I think she agrees with me. Is it a bad game? No, it is not a bad game. It is a great game. For like a JRPG, it is a good game. It's just... I don't know, man. Something about it. It's not... It seemed... There's just some weird moments in it. And I like the materia system, but that's about, like, my favorite part of it, honestly. There is some, like... I like parts of the story, but honestly, it kind of bores me a little bit. And I think it gets like a little too philosophical for its own good, in all honesty. Although 8's also kind of problematic in that regard as well. So I would give it a solid C. There, how's that for a spicy opinion? Like if I was to actually rank all my Final Fantasy games into like a list, 7 would be lower on that end. Final Fantasy 8 though, I replayed Final Fantasy 8 last year pretty recently. I actually have a really newfound appreciation for the game. The plot is not great compared, but honestly, neither is 7's, if I'm being honest. 9 definitely wins in the plot competition between the three. But I love the gameplay of 8. Like, junctioning is like a really interesting mechanic once you get used to it. And the draw system and the world is like, it's nice because it kind of like, the world is empty, but I think that's actually kind of a good thing. I think it actually works in its favor. I don't like the level scaling in it though. I hate that aspect, but that just leads to some very interesting mechanics, like, being able to beat the game at a low level and it actually making it easier, and it actually like being more fun is like a really interesting like change between all RPGs. Once you internalize jump system, awesome. Once you internalize it, you don't have to min-max junctioning, it works really well. I agree. Like when I first played, I was like, oh, I gotta min-max everything, and then I kind of decided, I was like, hey, this actually works. Once I got out of like the train of thought of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna catch GFs every battle and like win, it actually started getting like really interesting and really strategic. Especially because that strategy actually like it like falls out hard towards the middle of the game. Like it's just, you can't win that. So I'm gonna give Final Fantasy VIII a B. You don't have to grind in 8 because it scales to you? Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. It scales to you, so you don't have to grind it out. In fact, grinding it out makes it actually harder, especially if you don't have your junction set up correctly. Dragon Quest III, I played part of this for stream, but unfortunately, my computer died. Or it didn't die, but some shenanigans happened, and so I couldn't really do anything about it. Dragon Quest III, I just love that game. It's great. I don't think it's as good as Dragon Quest V, if I'm being honest, but I think for a class-based RPG, I think it succeeds a lot better than Final Fantasy III does, especially with like the Sage class, it being kind of like a secret class. I love the fact you can like challenge yourself by having like the Joker goof off class. Plot's good, and I hate the fact that I didn't get to show my favorite part of the game on stream, but the final areas is just, if you play Dragon Quest 1 and 2, you would love it. So Dragon Quest 3 is S tier for me. Hi, Digital Dragon. Yes. I appreciate that my favorites, Chrono Trigger and FF6, are S rank. Yes, they are. They definitely are. And if you're just tuning in, just a reminder, even if one of your favorite games in the D rank, that doesn't make it a bad game, or even a C rank doesn't make it a bad game, it just means it's a game that I don't like as much. If I'm being honest, I like all these games for some reason, even these in D. It's just that if I was going to pick up a game in this list to replay again, I probably would not replay any of these games. Persona 5 Royale. So Persona 5 is my least favorite Persona games. Oh, thank you for the follow, Gentle Dragon. Much appreciated. Persona 5 is my least favorite of the later Persona games. The battle system is fun. It is very stylish. But I think it does go on really long, and I think the writing is also not that great, especially because it seems like every other day, in-game day, it's like, oh, what are we going to do? Oh, we need to do ABC. And then the next day, oh, are we going to do ABC? Why do we need to do ABC? Well, it's because we need to do ABC. And then the next day, can you tell me again why we need to do ABC? Oh, it's because we need to do A, B, C, and D. And it's just, the actual gameplay itself is fun, like going through the palaces and stuff is fun. I like the fact that the palaces are like, predetermined. I kind of miss the kind of like the roguelike element there. It's still a fun game, it's just really long, and I think a lot of it could be easily trimmed out. Also, thanks for the timestamp so I can find my class when I rewatch this. Yeah, you're very much welcome. Um, so I'm putting Persona 5 in the B section. 5 Rail. That also might be a controversial change. I know a lot of people love Persona 5. It's just, if I was gonna like choose a Persona game to replay, I would probably either choose P3P or, spoilers, P4. Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy the Four Heroes of Light. Definitely not an everyday title. Definitely not an everyday title you will hear. This is actually kind of like a prequel to Bravely Default. I played it recently. It is actually... It's fun, but it's repetitive. I like it. I picked it up because I must have a thank you for the stream. It was a lot of fun. Oh, thank you very much, Viv. I hope you have a great rest of your day. If you deep dive into P5 videos, your decision isn't exactly controversial. Good to know. Good to know. FF4 is my first real experience with Final Fantasy. FF4 is a great game. That's why it's a B. I just think there's others that, you know, do it better, but I think that, you know, Final Fantasy IV is still just a solid game. The Four Heroes of Light is a DS game. It definitely has the Final Fantasy. It feels like a Final Fantasy V sequel, pseudo sequel of sorts. I just don't think it's like really like, it's definitely written by like a B or C team up at Square Enix, their handheld division. And I think if you're going to play this style of game, like a modern take on Final Fantasy V, play the Bravely Default games. I would give it a C. It has some interesting class ideas. It has like a party planner class, which is kind of fun. Okay, Pokemon Blue. Big game from my childhood. Pokemon Classic Generation 1. I love the design of Pokemon Generation 1. The Fire Red, Leaf Green versions are definitely better versions of it. Because Gen 1 Pokemon aged horribly. It is not fun to go through anymore. Fun as a lark, but I think that if someone was interested in like playing the Pokemon games like chronologically, I would just tell them just to start with Gen 3's Fire Red, which is on this list somewhere. Or at least it should be. Is it not? Oh yeah, there it is. The giant red square. So I would also put this in the C section. Persona Q. Oh, I wanted to like Persona Q a lot. I didn't mind the dungeons. I didn't mind the map making. I love seeing the cast of Persona 3 and Persona 4 like get together and interact. I think that was my favorite part of the game. It just got so damn repetitive, and if I was being honest, I kind of hated the puzzles. Which is not a great thing to say, honestly, in a game like this, because it's all about like the dungeon puzzles. I don't know. I also didn't like the fact that everyone could equip a persona, like a different persona. I know that that's kind of like the point, but like in my mind, that made things like all really overwhelming to kind of plan my party and stuff. It made it a lot more challenging. It felt like Esper's in Final Fantasy VI, but done worse, honestly. It's a cute game though, and if it was like more of the social interactions than like the actual dungeons themselves, and if the dungeons were less repetitive, I would have liked it more. I would probably put it in D. Okay. 7 minutes, I could talk about Pokemon Scarlet in 7 minutes. Pokemon Scarlet, it gets a lot of hate because it's kind of janky, and yeah, it is. But it's like one of the most recent Pokemon games that I've actually finished, and it's also the only one that's been released in like of the last 3 or 4 generations that made me feel like I was a kid again. I think it would have been better if it wasn't open world, and despite the fact that it is kind of janky, I still had a lot of fun with it. Um, and I liked a lot of the new Pokemon too. I love Tantamouse. Like the design for Tantamouse is so simple, but it's so great. It's like it makes me feel like it's a cut Gen 1 character, Gen 1 Pokemon. I also like the fact there are like different stories you can go through. You kind of take them at your own. They're linear. They are linear. It's like it's a fake choice. But I still think it's a fun experience. I wish it was better optimized, but maybe whenever they remake it, because they will in like 10 years. Um, maybe that'll be the best way to play. But what's your favorite individual Pokemon? Uh, Probably Bulbasaur, if I'm being honest. I just love Bulbasaur's design a lot, and like I still love the fact it gets Leech Seed because Leech Seed has saved me so many times. I would actually put Pokemon Scholar today, if I'm being completely honest. Cringe, Madwell. Madwell is also really good. I've only used Madwell a couple of times. That's the thing. Okay, Sword of Mana. You know what? I'm going to talk about Tamagotchi RPG first. I have words to say about Sword of Mana. I have a lot of words to say about Sword of Mana. Tamagotchi RPG, none of you probably have heard of this. It is a fan-made Tamagotchi RPG game. It uses a lot of assets from like Final Fantasy IV. It uses Final Fantasy VI music. It's made in an engine called Click and Play, which is this really old like what you see is what you get game engine, made by the people that made Multimedia Fusion, which is what the Five Nights at Freddy games made. But this was like the original version of that. It's a very simple game engine, but I had a lot of fun with this as a kid. Like this game was a lot of fun for me. I don't know. I decided to include it to the list just because for some reason I still think about it. It pops up in my dreams. That's how much I remember it. You have like magic in your little like Tamagotchi. It doesn't evolve or anything like the actual ones, but it's fun. I bet if I played now, that it probably aged really well because it's just like it's a old fan game made from the 90s on a really crappy game engine. But I'd probably still have fun with it. I'd probably play it once and be like, oh yeah, that was a great time. I would still rather play it more than Dragon Quest 2 though. I appreciate those old fan games. I appreciate them a lot. But yeah, we got some good ones on this list coming up. Sword of Mana, like I said, I have a lot to say about that. I have a lot to say about Mother 3. There's Metopia, which I bet some of you probably forgot exists. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Quest 64, another one you guys probably forgot exists. And of course, like Final Fantasy, Mystic Quest, Dragon Quest 4. And then, of course, I had the after years. But yeah, we'll probably be done within the next hour, I would imagine. I just don't want to, start going into some of these games and run out of time before the ad starts. But yeah, as a child, I had the most fun with Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy IV, and Pokemon Blue. Gen 1 is still my favorite generation. I would just rather play like Fire Red or something. One of the games I have planned for R&R Sundays is a randomized Nuzlocke of Fire Red, which is probably going to go really poorly based on my own experiences with that. But who knows? We'll see how far I go. That's going to be the point. When I start it, we're just going to see how it go. But the first game I'm going to do, though, next week, we're going to start a randomized playthrough of Link to the Past, as is tradition. It's going to be a different like randomization run I did that from like what I started before I decided like completely like change up how I start streaming and stuff. It's not going to be Key Sandy. It's just going to be a more basic run. It's going to be kind of more like trading, just because I haven't done a randomization of that game in quite a while. and I kind of want to like get familiar with like like where the secret locations are and stuff. And I'm gonna use a tracker, of course. And then I think I have like, and then yeah, that's gonna be next week, and the week after is gonna be Final Fantasy II Free Enterprise, which is Final Fantasy II randomized, and that's fun because those each of those runs really don't take that long, like most 2 or 3 hours, and I know Final Fantasy II pretty well. Like I would say about 95%. Some of the like the hidden secret treasures I forget, especially in like the Stealth Cave. And then it'll be another Link to the Past stream, and then after that we'll see. I hope we can finish the Link to the Past randomized in 2 streams, but it'll probably take more. There's a lot of dungeons in Link to the Past. As you can tell, I'm just buying time. We have about a minute till ads. I definitely can't talk about Sword of Mana in 1 minute. Because I have a lot to say about Sword of Mana. Although I don't think there'll be any more controversial opinions except for maybe Mother 3. Just depends if y'all played Mother 3 or not. A lot of people love Mother 3, but I liked it. It's fine. It does some really interesting things, but I'll get more into that after the ad break coming up. 30 seconds. Hopefully you'll get some good ads. If you do, that'd be great. If you don't, also good. If you ad block, that's fine too. I fully encourage that, or use Twitch Turbo or whatever. I would turn ads off if I could, but I can't, unfortunately. I'll explain more about the ad situation after the ad break, but I need to get up and stretch my legs, so I'll be back. Rems, don't worry, there's other Pokemon games I'm ranking. That's just blue. Fire Red's coming up soon. Hi. Yes. Okay. I will reiterate my point. In 40 seconds. I hope everyone's having a good time. Hope everyone's having a good night. I will explain my reasoning. Because it is I, Maria, putting away. I have good reasons for everything I do. Or at least when it comes to ranking games. Oh, you can still hear me? Okay. So, Pokemon Blue is Gen 1. Gen 1 was a great franchise, but it was a great generation, and I love the designs from it and stuff. The problem is that the remake does everything so much better. There's really no reason to play the original games, which is why it's at a C. The original Game Boy games are very rough to play nowadays, and trust me, because I've tried. Like, the only way I would play them is if they were randomized, just because Fire Red does everything it so much better. I ranked Scarlet an A because even though Scarlet was completely jank, I did like a lot of the designs to it. I liked what they were trying to do. I had a lot of fun with it, despite its jank, and I also liked the end game. It's one of the first this is the first Pokemon game in 3 or 4 generations that actually got me excited to play Pokemon. And I know that's a hot take, because I know the rest of the community hates Scarlet, but I had a lot of fun with it despite the jank. I mean, saying a story was pretty bad in a Pokemon game is like saying the sky is blue. Most of them, except for maybe 1 or 2 games, actually have a decent story. But I don't know. I had fun with it. This is a completely subjective list, so it goes in A. Alright, Sword of Mana. Sword of Mana is a GBA remake of the original Saiken no Densetsu Final Fantasy Adventure. Sword of Mana, top-notch mana-style gameplay, action RPG gameplay. Really interesting class system. Everything else is bad. Story repetitive. Last boss was annoying. It has a Sephiroth-type attack that does a 3-minute cutscene in a Game Boy Advance title, and he casts it a lot. So in an action RPG, it really breaks up the momentum because you have to watch this cutscene every single time. Also has some really bad design choices when it comes to the graphics. There's this one desert cave where you have to hit switches, but it's not immediately obvious what each switch actually does. There's also a bunch of additional features that are just gimmicky and not really that fun. My cat just ran into something. I heard something crashing. I'm not sure what it was though. I would not play Sword of Mana again. I heard the PSP version is better. There's a PSP remake of the original Saiken Densetsu called I'm mispronouncing that. Called Adventures in Mana. I've heard that's better than Sword of Mana. I'd probably replay that. The best part of Sword of Mana probably is just the actual combat, as well as the class system. It has a very interesting class system, where it basically every class branches off on itself depending on how you distribute your points, which is fun. But you know what? I probably wouldn't play it again, so it gets a D. Mother 3 is a good game. It's not my favorite Mother game. That's Earthbound, obviously. It has a really good story. It also gets really dark. It's basically a parable about consumerism and commercialization. Logo is also really good. Graphics are great for a GBA game. Really nice, nice advancement in the Mother style graphics and gameplay and stuff like that. Honestly, I hate the rhythm-based battle system. I really don't like that. Has some fun boss designs. Has great music. I think if I was going to pick up a Mother game, I'd just play Earthbound again, if I'm being honest. Has some really touching moments though, which actually the story is really good. So I'm gonna give it an A. And the logo is the best part about it, honestly. That's such a good logo, especially if you know what the game is about. And especially compared to like the original like Earthbound logo, or even the Earthbound Beginnings logo, the Mother 1 logo. Yeah, it's a good one. It's also a direct sequel to Earthbound, which is also pretty cool. Because, you know, as we saw at the end of that game, Pokey gets away and he ends up in a completely different place in time. And basically messes everything up there. And you get to play as a monkey. There's a monkey character you get to play as. Who loves it? Miitopia. Charming game. Very charming. Very fun. Fun to kind of like, you know... It's a really simple jRPG. With turn-based combat. But the whole gimmick of it is that you get to kind of like... All the characters you can replace with Miis. So all your party members, all if not most of the NPCs you can interact with. I have a really fun idea for a stream about this game that I'm going to do probably when Dragon Quest V is done. It's a complete shitpost of an idea. I love it. I'm excited for it. So we'll go through all of that again. It is a very repetitive game though, so it may not be a full playthrough. But we'll see how it goes. But I'm gonna give it a C. It's a fine game. It's fine. Has a lot of like in-game stuff on it for whatever reason. It's cute to go through the first time. And other than like my idea, which as Maya called was like a shitpost of a stream, I probably would not play it again. Final Fantasy IX. Probably my favorite of the PlayStation era Final Fantasies on certain days. I actually do enjoy like how like your equipment like gives you new abilities. I think that's a really cool system. I wish it was explored further. It also kind of made it a little frustrating because if you miss out on like if you didn't like craft a new item or something, you miss out on a bunch of abilities. Like Vivi didn't have like any in-game spells for me for a long time, until I just went out of my way to purchase something for him to do that. Story is great. It's my favorite story of the PlayStation RPGs. I don't mind the last boss pops out of nowhere. I thought that was a good reference to Final Fantasy 2. Final Fantasy 4. Sorry, my mind went into American for a second. It's a good game. It's a good game. I don't think it's S tier for me though. I would say it's A tier. The final bosses out of nowhere. Yeah, it was. But you know, so was Zemus in Final Fantasy 4. Dark Cloud even in 3 was also kind of out of nowhere too, because you really don't know about Dark Cloud until after you take down what's his face in the Crystal Tower. But yeah, I like Final Fantasy 9. I like the Ozma though. I am scared to fight Ozma. I like Ozma's design though. I hate this new Twitch bug on follows highlight and notified now. Oh, that's weird. Twitch is not exactly the most stable platform, I'm realizing. But yeah, Final Fantasy 9, definitely A tier for me. I also do enjoy that how like Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 8 were a lot more sci-fi. Final Fantasy 9 was a lot more like classic like Final Fantasy style. I like that. I think 7 and 8 kind of lean more into like the futuristic sci-fi fantasy stuff. I like that 6 had a more like, you know, more in-between approach. I kind of like that. Kind of like how 14 kind of is. Speaking of Final Fantasy 9, you see the Final Fantasy 14 Drawn Tail Collector's Item? Yes, I did. Probably not going to get the physical collector's box, but I did pre-order the digital collector's edition. Wind Up Zidane, Wind Up Garnet. You know, Final Fantasy. I think that Final Fantasy 9 is Arc Mount. Yeah, uh, Dawn Trail seems to be the Final Fantasy 9 expansion, which is great. I like Final Fantasy 9, so perfect. I think Maria should play Metroid NES so she can rank it. I can rank Metroid NES. I've played Metroid NES. Kind of a hot take, honestly, from like what I read. I think Metroid NES is a fine game if you follow along like a map or draw one out when you write it. I think it's actually a lot of fun, even because in a lot of it's just because of how simple it is. It's also brutally difficult in parts, at least for me. I'm not going to add it to this tier list, but Metroidvania tier list. Oh, don't tempt me. I will do one. I love a good Metroidvania. Yeah, I agree that the remake is better. Zero Mission is a great remake of it. I would say the NES version would probably be B. Zero Mission would be A. Super Metroid would be S. Fusion would be A. Let's do it sometime when she can. Whenever I do another tier list, it'll be a Metroidvania tier list. Because I do love a good Metroidvania. I love Symphony of the Night and like the 3 Castlevania GBA games are some of my favorite games. Yeah, Hollow Knight would be S tier. I haven't actually played a lot of Hollow Knight, but I've liked the gameplay of it from what I've seen. I haven't played Axiom Verge. I liked Spelunky a lot. Trying to think of other Metroidvanias. Can't think of any more off the top of my head, but yeah, I like Metroidvania, so I'll do that. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. Once again, not exactly a jRPG. Bloodstained, I still need to play Bloodstained. Mizzy gave me Bloodstained, or code for Bloodstained. I just haven't played it yet. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, or this is the Switch version. Great Mystery Dungeon style game. Love the Pokemon aspect. The story was actually surprisingly in-depth. I did not expect it at all. And the ending actually got to me. I think it's a lot better designed than Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon. And just the fact that you kind of like take a personality quest test at the very beginning to decide what Pokemon you are. I did kind of cheese it a little bit the first time I played it. So I could be like, I think I wanted to be Charmander, so I cheesed it so I could be Charmander. If I was going to replay it again, which I probably will if I'm being honest, because I didn't really get to experience a lot of the post-game, and I kind of want to play it for the post-game, so I might play this off-stream for me sometime. But I'm going to give it a B. Crafting systems do not belong in my Funny Vampire. And that's the only reason why I haven't played Bloodstained yet, is because I don't like it when games have crafting systems in it. I think Chrono Cross had the best implementation of a game with like a crafting system in it, just because it was kind of out of the way. It was just in like you can find everything pretty easily. Quest 64. Quest 64 is an interesting game. The only reason why I know it... Why did you spray me if you were complimenting me? Quest 64 is the only RPG that was on the Nintendo 64, and that's the only reason why I know it so well. Because I was a kid with a Nintendo 64, and I didn't have a PlayStation for the longest time. Quest 64 is not a great game. It is a very repetitive game, but it was all that we had. It kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy Mystic Quest in a lot of ways. I think Mystic Quest is a better game, though. I would replay it for kicks nowadays, but I wouldn't really take it seriously. It is a game, like Maya said, it's a game. Story is also very tropish, like extremely tropish. And it's just not fun. It's one of those games where you think you have a lot of where it looks like you have a lot of freedom of choice, like in how you do like your spells and stuff. And the leveling system in Quest 64 is a lot like Final Fantasy 2. It's like the more you do things, like you get more level up. So you cast more Earth magic, you level up your Earth magic spell. But the thing is, just like level up your agility, you have to like run around from battles to level it up, and you end up just like rubber banding your analog stick, so that you're always running into a wall or something to level it up. Um, but the way the magic system's done, you only really use like two elements, and that's like your really big hit Earth spell, and then water so you can heal, and there's no other reason to use anything else. Um, so it's just, and everything's free. It's missing a lot of like actual RPG aspects. Surprisingly, it's a sequel to like a Japanese only game. But no, it's a D. It's a D. Not to mention shield spell. Oh yeah, you need the shield spell, just because it like makes you invincible to like everything for a while. It's broken. Pokemon Gold. The original Gen 2 game. I have this here because I also used to play a lot as a child. I have not played Heart Gold or Star Silver or whatever it's called, so those aren't on the list. I think Pokemon Gold is a better game than the original Gen 1 and 2. And I still think the Pokemon designs of Gen 2 are also still really good. There are some bangers in there. If I was gonna play like a Game Boy Pokemon game, I'd probably play Pokemon Gold or Pokemon Silver again, honestly. There's like a day-night cycle, which is really cool. The world's bigger, like all of Johto's there. So yeah, I think Gold gets an A, honestly. Paper Mario. We're playing the original Paper Mario on stream. It's a fun time. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Um, it's a simple RPG, but the badge system offers a lot of depth. It has a really funny story. I always appreciate a good RPG that doesn't take itself seriously, which is why Earthbound and Final Fantasy V are up here, largely. It's just a fun game, and it's fun being Mario, and I like the little companions you collect over the time, and the stupid Koopa still in the shell that keeps fighting you is hilarious to me. Um, has some good has some good battles to it. There's a couple of interesting gimmicks there and there. Um, I think the sequel does a lot of it a lot better, though. But I think it's still a good game in its own right. There are some annoying parts in it, which I'll talk more in depth once we get to those parts in game. But I think it's a solid B. It's a solid B. The Final Fantasy Legend. I mentioned this when I was ranking the Final Fantasy Legend 3. Final Fantasy Legend, aka Saga 1, is a very interesting RPG because the whole game basically takes place in a tower that goes to heaven. And you actually literally fight the creator of the world at the end of it. Spoiler alert, I guess. Although that's not really, like... You know that's the enemy of the game towards the beginning, so... It's just a very interesting designed game. It is, like... I know it's not actually like a Final Fantasy game, but it feels a lot like Link's Awakening in a lot of ways. It's not as like it's very much simplified. It's not as in depth as Legend 3 goes. I think it's still a fun game, just kind of like just to experience it for the first time. There's some interesting intricacies in it. I think if I was gonna play a Legend game, I'd rather play Legend 3. I don't think it's as bad as these games, though, honestly. Still have my Pokemon Blue, Yellow. I have a Pokemon Silver cartridge. And I think a Pokemon Blue cartridge now I'm thinking about it. I think I do have a Pokemon Blue cartridge. I definitely have Silver, though, or Gold. And I think it's Gold. I haven't looked at my Game Boy cartridges in a while, so... I have a bunch of just, like, random Game Boy, GB, and GBA games. I would give Final Fantasy Legend a C. I still challenge Maria to randomizer. I am planning on doing a Nuzlocke of Fire Red at some point. Probably within the next couple of months. Might be after when I finish Link to the Past randomizer. It's just going to see how far I can get. into it. Persona 4 Golden is a great game. It's my favorite Persona game. My favorite like later release Persona game. I like it better than Persona 5, if I'm being honest. Um, I think the battle system is a lot of fun. I love the idea of a TV world. I love the plot. I like the fact that once again it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it has some like really serious, impactful moments. I'll randomize your Pokemon Fire Red. I don't know if that's a threat or if that's actually something you're offering me to do. Um, Persona 4. It's an improvement of the original Persona 4, which is not on this list. Even though I have played it. Except in a couple of ways. I like the original intro movie better in the original one, and I like Chia's voice better in the original one. Although I think with her characterization, P4G makes more sense, but I like the original voice actress more, if I'm being honest. It's just a fun game. It's if I was going to spend like a 80 hour, like, if I was going to play an 80-hour RPG, I'd rather play Persona 4 Gold than play Persona 3 or Persona 5. I like the murder mystery aspect. This kind of feels like a Saturday morning cartoon in parts, and I kind of like that. So it's definitely S tier for me. Secret of Mana, a game I kind of put on pause. We'll probably return to it at some point. I'm not in any rush though. I was playing it. I was playing it on stream, and I remember loving it as a kid, and then I'm playing it, and I'm like, you know what, this game isn't as good as I thought it was. I kind of soured on it a little bit. Like, the actual combat is fun, the story, like, makes no sense, and there's not a lot of direction against stuff. I think it's still a good action RPG. I think the graphics are really great for it still. The music's awful, though. It doesn't have really good music. It's very repetitive. I do think it's just kind of fun just to mess around with. So it's either going to be an A or B for me. I'm going to give it an A just because I think it does have some really neat ideas in it. Especially for an action RPG like that. I'd be interested in playing it with like a better localization. I think that's probably like a lot of it. I think it's one of the localizations that I can't remember if it's a TED loosely localization or a lot, but it's not. Localization's pretty bad, honestly. It's just, I don't know. I think my favorite thing about the Mana games is just the combat, and Secret of Mana definitely provides a lot of it. Pokemon Fire Red, definitely my favorite Pokemon remake that they've done. Oh, I should have had Let's Go on here. I'm not though; it's too late. I also like Let's Go, but I think Fire Red is probably still my favorite. Everything's really bright, everything's nice. The monsters are nicely animated. There's a nice little post game section as well with the new islands they added. I've replayed this to the finish pretty recently. Had a lot of fun with it. When I beat the LF4, I was so proud of myself. The battle against the last trainer was one of those things where I was down to one Pokemon with 10 HP left, and I did it. I was so happy. If I was gonna play any Pokemon game, I'd play Fire Red, honestly. So it goes into S tier. Okay, original Final Fantasy. I love the game. It's one of the reasons why I replay it every year. It seems on a different version. It's another game where the PSP version is also really good. The Anniversary Collection with the nice sprites. I don't know. It's just kind of a classic game. It throws a lot of RNG bullshit at you. if I'm being honest, especially in the original NES version. But there's kind of like a charm to it. It's that NES like brutal difficulty, and I think it's better done than how Final Fantasy II has it. Final Fantasy II has it where like a random encounter can like kind of screw you over, but at least in Final Fantasy One you can at least run, depending on who your lead character is. You don't have to train it. That's the best part. I don't know. It's just a classic game. I don't think I'd put it in A tier though. I would put it in A. I would put it in A tier. I don't think it's an S tier though. It's definitely A tier. Renaissance might be S tier, but the original one A tier. I will say the post game content for pretty much any of the Final Fantasy games, at least the ones on GBA, kind of suck. I haven't done Final Fantasy 4s, I will say, but I did not like, or I haven't done 2s as well, but I did not like 1s. I didn't like 6s. Just way too random. Also, I've done 5. I didn't like 5s as well. Even the new classes are just kind of niche to me. Like, Cannoneer just seemed like a more offensive chemist. And Blue Mage was like special, or Necromancer was like special Blue Mage. I'd rather just play as a Blue Mage. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Okay, here's where I might get in trouble. I actually really like Mystic Quest. It is a game for babies, but it is a fun game for babies. And it does a lot of interesting stuff. Like enemies changing sprites, like when they get hurt, is like a really cool thing, and it makes you feel good. Using like weapons like actually having a purpose on the field. Instead of having random encounters in the overworld, you have like battlegrounds where you get stuff for like doing doing a string of battles. It has some really interesting ideas, and I think that if the story was, I think gameplay wise, it's just really solid, if not like really easy. Story sucks, but I mean, what do you want me to say? It's supposed to be a simple, like, it's supposed to be your first RPG, basically. So I'd probably put it in either B or C. Mystic Quest is something I'm going to play on stream, so don't be surprised when it shows up onto my schedule at some point. I'd probably put it in... I'd put it in C. I would put it as a C game. It doesn't get B just because I do think for like what it is actually longer than it needs to be, if I'm being honest. And some of the, and I don't know, there's a sprinkling of, and I think it's a little too easy at times, at least for me, and that's saying a lot. But I do think it's interesting just to play, just to see all the ideas that it has. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. I played the DS version of this, the remake of it. Really funny game. Really funny, really charming. It is oozing charm. You like stab a knife in and all you get is just charm coming out. As someone who has horrible eye-hand coordination despite playing video games for 30 plus years, I suck at it though. I am so awful at the battle system because it requires like, it's kind of like Super Mario RPG on crack because it requires like pressing buttons at certain times to like either like completely avoid attacks or like or to even do attacks. I'm horrible at that. So I had a lot of trouble with this game and it got really frustrating. And yeah, you have to pay attention to both Mario and Luigi. And the sequel you have to pay attention to both Mario, Luigi, and the babies. Which the sequel is not on here because unfortunately I wasn't able to. I only played a little bit of it, and then my DS decided to break. But really, it's just really frustrating to me. It was just really frustrating to me, and that kind of took the enjoyment out of the game. Like I said, it was a charming game, and I finished it, and I loved like the last boss, and I loved the villains in it, and just the world. So it kind of makes it hard to rate, but I think my heart's telling me to put it at C. I think my heart's telling me to put it at C. I think the Paper Mario franchise is more of my jam when it comes to this kind of games. It is a especially a remake. It's a beautiful game. I'm hoping there's going to be a Switch remake at some point or a Switch 2 remake. Probably not going to happen. Dragon Quest IV. Dragon Quest IV is interesting because it's more of like a chapter based RPG. So you meet like your cast of characters like in the first like six chapters. Then your last chapter is kind of more like your free world open realm, and it's actually the last chapter is actually kind of long and big. But at the end of the day, it's just more Dragon Quest. It's just it's just more Dragon Quest basically with a different plot. The last boss is pretty cool because it has like 7 forms. It's a multi-phase boss, which is not really that rare in the Dragon Quest games, even the NES ones. But the fact that it has 7 forms is just amazing to me. And it was something I really didn't expect. And I actually had to look it up because I was like, oh, is this something they added for the DS? No. And it's also true in the NES version. I might play the NES version on stream sometime because I have never played it actually, and I think that might be fun. It's a fun game. I'm like it has some cool characters. I like the dancer. I like the Tsarina you get she's like a really powerful like hitter. She's like a monk type character, and then you have the dancer girls. One's like does white magic, one does black magic. And they're really cute. Then you get like a soldier and you get like a bunch of characters. It's actually like a really like in terms of like ensemble RPGs, it's really really well done. So it's gonna get high on the list. It's not gonna get that high though. I put it at an A. I think that's a good place for it. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Improves the original Paper Mario in every way. You have some great companions. I love Vivian. I love the Cooper guy you get. I can't remember his name though. And your little Goomba archaeologist companion. It's a much bigger game. It has a lot more side content. You have you can do different side quests for people. There's also the Pit of 1,000 Trials, which is really fun. Kind of a really nice not really a roguelike, but kind of you just do 100 battles and see what happens. See if you can get to the very end. It's just kind of an interesting mechanic for a game like this. The localization is nuts. There's an early boss that asks you to sniff its feet. You have a HAL 9000 type character that falls in love with Princess Peach. It's insane. It is a really insane localization. I'm very interested to see if any of it actually makes it to the remake. I am really excited for the remake too. And the last boss is actually really interesting. The last dungeon is interesting. It has a lot of interesting set pieces. Like the original Paper Mario, there's some really annoying parts. There's a lot of backtracking involved. But you know what? I think it's a great game in every way. No, it's not going to B. No. It's going to S. It's S tier. It's an S tier game. Hi, kitty. I see you. And I recognize you. The original Super Mario RPG, though. Remake is really good. I think I prefer the SNES original, if I'm being honest. SNES original is really, really good. Really good game. Lots of fun little secrets and side things you can do there. One of the classics on the Super Nintendo. Very much a classic. Much appreciated. It's a fun game. It's one of those games I grew up with, and I just had a blast playing it. And every time I do play it now, I still have a blast. Also did a randomization of it on the stream. One of the first streams I ever did. I think I started it as a ping tuber, a PNG tuber, and ended it with my original model, the one I bought from Etsy. So yeah, my history goes way back. It's definitely A. It's definitely an A tier game. Lufia 2. Very interesting RPG, much more puzzle elemented. in the dungeons, a lot of the puzzles in the dungeons, which I think is really fascinating. Um, Also has a monster catching mechanic, like um, like Dragon Quest V. Um, Also has the ancient cave or whatever it's called, where it's like a roguelike mode, which is fascinating. Um, which I think is really interesting as well. It's just kind of generic, but I don't mind that because I mean I like Dragon Quest games and they're all kind of uh, generic. And I think it's just a fun time. It's just like a fun, classic, unassuming RPG. But man, is the translation though. Like this is a game that's like incredibly buggy. Like there are like there's a dungeon with like a couple of floors are just completely garbled. Um, there are some text that's not even translated. So they use when they did the localization and removed the Japanese characters out of the ROM, like there are a couple lines of dialogue and there are a couple of like place names that are just like, completely garbled characters. Um, Overall, though, it's a fun game. I really enjoy playing it. And like I've never played Lufia 1 all that much, but I have played Lufia 2 a bunch of times, and I'm actually due to play it again. Um, but at the same time, it's like really doesn't do anything special other than the puzzles. So I think it goes in C. That's what my heart's telling me to do. And lastly, Final Fantasy: The After Years. I do not like the After Years. I would like it more if you didn't go to the same dungeons like 6 or 7, like 2 or 3 times. But the fact that you do just makes it really repetitive. I do like seeing where everyone like ends up being in. There is some like, cool like little story element beats there and there. But I don't know. I played it once and I was like, you know what? I have my fill of this. Like when the third time I went through Anne Cave, I was like, no, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. Um, it's not great. It's not great. I'm sorry, Delia. It's not great. It's not great for me. It's not. I would be willing to replay it now, but that might be my last time replaying it. Um, only the positive about it is that, don't unfollow me. No, please don't. Not for a difference of opinion. How about this? I'll say a couple of good things about it. It has a mechanic, it has a dual and triple tech mechanic from Chrono Trigger that's used. That's actually pretty cool. It's kind of done in the same way that it's done in Chrono Cross, except a lot more like obscure. Because you can't like really do it. You kind of have to discover it. And some of the attacks that you can do are pretty cool. I also like the moon phase system. I think that's kind of neat. And also in the GBA version, or what version did I play this on? No, I played the PSP version. On the PSP version, you play like Final Fantasy VI bosses, and like Final Fantasy like 5 and Final Fantasy 3 bosses, and I thought that was kind of neat. I think if I was gonna say like this, if I kind of viewed it as like Final Fantasy 4 like in-game content, I think it's the best in-game content that Square has ever done for a Final Fantasy game. But as its own thing, I wouldn't play it. But if I was gonna do like a stream of like Final Fantasy 4 Anniversary Edition, which hey, might be a thing, I would probably play it then, just because it kind of, it's kind of like all in one package, and it kind of makes sense. And plus, it has like the intermission part of it, so it kind of makes even like kind of brings more context to it. It's just so repetitive. That's the only thing I really didn't like about it. But the question is where to rate it. And it's like, would I rather play Final Fantasy 3DS or Final Fantasy 4DS than it? or Quest 64. I would rather play Mystic Quest than it. I'd rather play all those games other than it. I would still. Oh, this is tough. Actually, this is tougher than I thought it was. I'll put it at a D, but it's a very high D. It's a very high D. It's like a D plus. That's what my heart's telling me to do. But like I said, might still play it on stream. I like the Anniversary Collection. I think I'm due to revisit that. So just because it's a very pretty version of the game, honestly. And yeah, that's the tier list. We had some pretty controversial talks. Didn't realize that the Final Fantasy 4 after years was going to be controversial. Kind of thought the Scarlet being ranked so high would be controversial, and Final Fantasy 7 being ranked so low. That actually went better than I thought it would, honestly. I thought I was going to get a lot of hate with that. I don't know. I had fun with Scarlet, but I also didn't really encounter anything like completely game-breaking when I played it. Yeah, before the site, it's not bad, and I really liked the in-game area. I thought that was cool, and like the last couple of fights were really interesting. I thought, and I actually had to like not in like the main campaign, but like in the post game, the post game fights were kind of interesting for me. I was kind of underwhelmed by the end of the story fights, except for the team, whatever they're called, fight. I thought the last fight of that was really cool. And I've just like Pokemon for a while. Yeah, that's what I've heard. You know, it's weird to say it's a hidden gem, but it kind of is if you get past kind of the performance issues. But like I said, I really didn't get all that much performance. It just I got some weird like I got some lag when I was like entering areas, like, and there was some lag like leaving battles, but that was it. I didn't get any like really big bugs or anything like that. But yeah, that's my tier list. Let me download this so I can post it on Twitter and make everyone mad at me again. Or maybe I won't. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. I can have some hate for this is not VTuber. These are jRPGs. Toby Fox music is always a... Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did work on that. Yeah. I do love Toby Fox music. I'm so jealous of Toby Fox. Like, great game designer, great musician, like triple package. Like, oh, so jealous. I wish I had those chops as well. But yeah, I was kind of lazy. I have not actually worked on my schedule for next week, unfortunately. I'll probably get that done in the next couple of days. Maybe tonight. We'll see. But basically, it's gonna be here. Let's actually go to the schedule. So yeah, so ignore the days. The days are wrong because I haven't updated it. But yeah, more Dragon Quest V on Thursday, more Paper Mario on Friday, and then Sunday it's gonna be our first rest and relaxation Sunday, starting with Link to the Past. Just a nice little quick randomization of Link to the Past. I'm planning on starting the stream off doing the actual randomization itself, so that y'all can see what settings I'm doing and stuff like that. But I think that it might be kind of like an interesting way to kind of give some transparency on what I'm doing. And plus, maybe y'all can vote on like what my Link character will be. Is it going to be Celis again? Is it going to be Girl Link? Is it going to be a bunny? We'll see. We'll decide how I feel. All right. All right. Well, stream's done. Thank you for coming out, everyone. This was a pretty popular stream, and I'm glad for it. When I did this tier list, I was a little worried it was not going to get a lot of interaction or be interesting, but I'm glad it did. And I'm glad we got a hype train. Thank you, Maya and Aurora and Faye for the subs. Um, Make me Dragoon Cat. No, no, you are a thief, and you're gonna stay a thief, and you're gonna like it. Um, be glad I did not make you a monk or a knight. Yeah, see ya, Maya. Let's see. I'm not gonna give you a Dragoon. Oh, Tired Ass Fox is oh, and Sora's streaming as well. Oh, she's playing Nobody Saves the World. Oh, I like that game. All right, we're gonna stream. We're gonna uh go visit Sora. I like her. All right, so you know what? This is why you smell like Boggy Cat. I don't smell like Boggy Cat. I smell nice. I smell nice, and you know it. You know it. All right. I'll see all of y'all later. I hope y'all have a great, great rest of your Sunday. And I'll see y'all soon. Where's my end? There we go.